Who am I missing?
Gooding and Robinson.
Gooding and Robinson.
Both apologies.
All right, I'm ready whenever.
Live streams in process of switching.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Welcome to this special council meeting, 5th of August 2025 at 5 p.m. The meeting is to deal with a couple of matters behind closed doors. So we'll go through the formalities of opening the meeting and apologies and things. And then we'll be behind closed doors for the majority of this meeting. And then we will come back and read the results of the recommendations behind closed doors. So we're a couple of minutes late, so I'll declare this meeting open at 5:07. Members of the public are advised that recommendations to council contained within this agenda and decisions arising from the council meeting can be subject to alteration. Applicants and other interested parties should refrain from taking any action until such time as written advice is received confirming council's decision with respect to any particular issue. Members of the public to please note that this meeting is being broadcast live and a video record will be made of these proceedings and published on the Shire's website. And as I say, declared the meeting open at 5:07. At item 2, record of attendance. In the room we have 3 councillors, myself, Councillor Deere and Councillor Kine. Online we have Councillor Chafer, Councillor Harty, Councillor Timms, Councillor McNeil. Apologies received from Councillor Gooding and Councillor Robinson. We also have CEO Vern Lawrence, Director Nick Allen online. Apologies from Director Bell and Webb. No leave of absence requests were received. Declarations of interest, I have nil. We'll move on to item 4, which is response to previous public questions, and we have nil. We have no one in the gallery and no public questions. At 6, applications for leave, we have nil. Petitions at 7, we have nil. Announcements by myself without discussion at 8, I have nil. 9, deputations, we have nil. 10, matters for which the meeting may be closed, we have 2 items. I'm just finding them. At 11.1, the East Kimberley Place-Based Partnership. The attachment will be behind closed doors if we need to attend to that. And at item 15.1 is the award of tender 22-24-25, provision of consultancy services for upgrade for Kununurra Leisure Centre, Stage 1. So with that, we'll move to item 11.1. So the recommendation is in front of us. Do we need to go behind closed doors?
Mr. President, if any councillors want to ask any questions about the confidential attachment, we can deal with that behind closed doors. So if there are any questions, I suggest we go behind closed doors first. Otherwise, we can ask for a mover in a second or so. I think the question is to councillors, would they like any questions on the attachment behind closed doors?
Councillors?
None from me.
I think there's probably a couple of words could be said about the item in public space. Maybe CEO, just a very broad outline about this matter.
Yeah, Mr. President, the report deals with the background, but essentially this is the Shire has been asked to participate in this process. It's about closing the gap and the priorities around closing the gap. The request came down from the Department of Premier and Cabinet a couple of years ago, and there's been about 4 or 5 meetings a year since then to develop this partnership agreement. The role for the council that the council will play in this is making infrastructure available for services and programs that might arise out of this. The partnership agreement is essentially an MOU type agreement, so it creates no legal obligations for us, and there's no financial commitment that we have to make under this agreement. So there's very little risk for us as an organisation by participating in this.
Thanks, CEO. If councillors are happy with that, I'm happy to take a mover and a seconder to the recommendation. Councillor Deere is moving it. I'm happy to second that. Against? We have one against. So I will move to debate. And Councillor Deere, would you like to speak for the recommendation?
Yeah, I think, look, at the end of the day, we're not going to know what we don't know, so being part of something that's not necessarily enforceable at this stage on the outcome and seeing what comes of it and participating in the process, I think is an important one, particularly if there is anything we can learn from any ability to close the gap. And I can't see any downside not to just go through the process.
Thanks, Councillor Deere. And I'm, as a seconder, I fully endorse Councillor Deere's arguments and nothing further to add. So someone like to speak against? Councillor Kine.
Just for clarification, can I talk about the contents of this document?
I think possibly we would need to go behind closed doors to talk about the contents. It's been a specific request from the organisers of the committee, the people that are controlling the process, that the document is confidential until signed.
All right, with that, I'd like to move that we move behind closed doors to enable full debate on this matter. Would I have a second to that, please?
Yep.
I see Councillor Deere against. All in favour?
Yep. Yep.
Unanimous, which is 6-0. Minute taker, could you? 7-0. 7-0, sorry. We've 7-0. We'll just
back.
Yep.
Okay, welcome back. We're live streaming again. Councillors, thank you for that debate behind closed doors. So the recommendation sits there at item 11.1. I will just read it. That Council 1 note the draft partnership agreement for the East Kimberley place-based partnership under the National Agreement on Closing the Gap. And 2, authorise the Shire President to sign the agreement on behalf of the Shire of Wyndham East Kimberley. We've got Councillor Deers moving and myself a seconder, a vote against, so I propose that we vote.
Mr. President, I think if Councillor Deer wants to close off the debate, whether he makes a statement just to close the debate off, and then we can move to voting.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, CEO. Councillor Deer.
Sure. Yeah, I've got really nothing additional to add from what I said originally. Yeah, let's just be involved in the process and see what the outcome is and make a decision from there.
Sorry, Mr. President, probably on a process. We went behind closed doors because Councillor Kine had some questions. So I think it will only be fair if Councillor Kine wants to make any statement about voting against prior to having a vote.
Thanks, CEO. Yeah, I'll offer you that opportunity, Councillor Kine.
As said, behind closed doors, fundamentally I agree with most parts of this document. The one part I don't, or some of the concerns I have about this document is in regards to the acknowledgement of country. The acknowledgement of country is something that is done very well, and it's added into many documents. However, this one has an additional part to the acknowledgement of country in which it refers to the Aboriginal communities of the East Kimberley and then lists them off one by one as the sovereign communities. I believe the sovereign is the Sovereign of Australia, is the King, and the additionally is the decision-making ability to be matched in equal stead as the government. And that is when it comes in reference to decision-making ability, that the voices on this committee will have equal weight as government officials. And I think we already have elected officials at local, state and federal levels that can be voted out and make these decisions. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Kine, for expressing those concerns. So with that, we will move to vote. So I'm looking for for those in favour.
Yes, from me.
3,
Yes, from me.
Yep, from me.
6. Those against? Thank you, Councillor Kine, and that'll be recorded by name as is procedure these days. So 6-1. So I thank Councillor Kine for his input into that very important discussion, and the recommendation is passed 6-1. With that, we'll move on to item 12, which is motions of which previous notice has been given, and we have nil. At 13, questions by members of which due notice has been given, we have nil. At 14, urgent business approved by the person presiding, nothing from me, or by decision. I'm not aware of anything, nothing, so nil. And at 15, matters behind closed doors. This is the confidential attachment at item 15. So I'd like to move that we move behind closed doors. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Deer. Against? All in favour?
Yep.
Yes.
7-0 at, we move behind closed doors at 17:32. Thank you, councillors. Just give us a minute.
close.
No, I was just saying close for the time being.
All right, I don't think we're far away. We're in. Councillors, I'll have to read this. So, welcome back. We're back online. Thank you for anyone joining us. So at the item behind closed doors at 15.1 was the award of tender 22 for 24-25, provision of consultancy services for upgrade for the Kununurra Leisure Centre Stage 1. The recommendation was accepted, carried, 7 votes to 0. I will now read that recommendation, and that is that Council, 1, accept the tender from Greasley Abbas Proprietary Limited, ABN 46109290842, for tender T22 24-25, provision of consultancy services for the upgrade of Kununurra Leisure Centre Stage 1, as the most advantageous tender to form a contract as follows. A, fixed scope table 1, excluding GST. 1, Stage 1, discover and site inspection for the sum of $81,498.20. 2, Stage 2, concept plan for the sum of $74,983.20. A3, Stage 2, schematic design for $108,054.80. At A4, Stage 2, detailed design for the sum of $280,106. And A5, Stage 3, the tender documentation for the sum of $18,054.96, which totals the sum of $562,697.16, excluding GST. At 1B, separable portion services at the discretion of the Shire, being the client, in accordance with Table 2 of the request for tender. At C, hourly rates for additional services at the discretion of the Shire, being the client, in accordance with Table 3 of the request for tender. And delegates the formation of the contract to the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, subject to any variations of a minor nature prior to entry to contract. And the recommendation was carried, 7 votes to 0. That concludes the business of this special council meeting. Thank you for everyone for attending. I would like to declare this meeting closed at 17:41. Thank you all and have a good evening.
Thanks, councillors.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.